I think all of this causes depression because it causes exhaustion, the manipulation of life. It's very easy to be hateful towards people who you cannot imagine ever being like. It's very hard to be hateful towards people that you might actually be one or have something in common with. At that time it really felt that coming out really would solve everything. If you like, in the general world, we're discovering through the use of Facebook that people are becoming more depressed because they've got this impression that everyone else is having a great time. It's kind of a big deal in our world to be having a good time, if you like, and our media celebrate that. It's also a big deal in our world to look great. So we've got this double leading in depression now. First of all, now we've discovered the world we came out into actually maybe is a bit exhausting or isn't giving us everything we wanted. I know when I turned about 40, I suddenly felt like shit, it's at the end of the road now, in terms of desirability or something like that, because we celebrate youth so much. I think the result of all this stress, the stress coming from the heterosexual, the stress coming from our own subculture, which is basically a subculture built on big promises. And so we realise there are certain things we have to work on. And one of them is actually what we did right at the beginning. What did we do with all that oppression before we came out? We haven't dealt with that feeling of being ashamed of who we are. And instead we've actually just built an armour plating around us. Often sometimes literally in terms of gym bodies and things like that. And inside there's still sadness and shame. And in a way, I kind of want to have like a campaign against shame. So saying actually it's fine to say you feel a bit ashamed. Why wouldn't we feel ashamed when all around us are these messages saying you're kind of lesser? Who wants to be a lesser? Power. We always need to think back to power. And the people who have the default position never notice how they're banging on about their position of privilege. Where I see a sort of salvation for all of this is the fact that we did have a massive crisis in the 1980s and 90s with AIDS. And we as a community found an enormous courage, strength, determination, honesty, love, vulnerability, affection, and anger, which really did do the world a favour, actually made the response to AIDS and HIV so much better than it could have been. And I think we can find the same anger and love and attention and affection and understanding. In those days we would ring someone and we discover that they hadn't got out of bed because they were feeling shit. There's somebody now we know who has got out of bed today because they're feeling shit because of depression. We should be ringing and wondering about them and then going around to see them. We probably want to say, what do we really want from experiences of passions? And that comes back to shame, because what shame does is it stops us